Where does Pontefract?
Means broken bridge in Latin, and that's where my father's family supposedly came from, Pontefract, England. I prefer, it's right on the border with Scotland, so I say we're Scottish, but you know, it is England.
Talk about your education a little bit. So you went to school in Far Hills, right? And then you were sent to Virginia. Virginia was too far, right?
No, I hated it. I hated it. Well, it was 1964. It was an election year. I was stuck out in the wilds of Virginia at Foxcroft, which was a semi-military school. And so you had to march, you had a gun, fake gun that you learned how to do things with. The whole thing I was not good at being very disciplined. And when I got demerits for a dusty bathtub because I'd used Babo and hadn't rinsed it out enough, I thought, okay, this is it. I just had it with this place. We slept on sleeping porches. The bad thing was that my mother was chairman of the board of trustees at that time because she'd gone to Foxcroft and loved it, and my sister had gone and she'd been a lieutenant of one of the platoons. I mean, they sent a Marine from Quantico to come down and drill the freshmen to begin with.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was quite serious. And I just say I hated every minute of it.
Okay.
And so then came back and finished up high school in New York.
Okay, and is that where you met your husband?
No, it was after I graduated.
Okay, all right. So you went to Nixon's inaugural ball.
Right.
And was that your first date?
No, we'd kind of intercepted while I was at college and stuff, and that was after college. And I had just been dating someone we'd broken up, and so I was looking for someone I knew was a good dancer because I'd seen John, we'd seen one another at various dances and stuff, and was no threat. And so I asked him.
Okay, and then you got married a year later?
Yeah.
Ah, very nice. Fast forward, you started in politics, right? And you decided that you had done a run for Senate? Was that? You were considering it.
I was asked to run. I was president of the State Board of Public Utilities. Then Governor Tom Kean had appointed me. And by that time I knew that the best job in the world would be governor of New Jersey. But as you know, New Jersey is split.
Yes.
And the South always wants to secede. And even though I was president of the Board of Public Utilities for the entire state, you didn't travel around the state that much. So I was approached if I'd run for the Senate in 1990, and I said, no, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Even though I knew it was it was a gamble because I was running against a very popular incumbent who was widely thought of to be the next Democratic nominee for president. He was a Rhodes Scholar, Princeton graduate, New York Knicks basketball player, played in the Olympics. So Bill Bradley had won his first re-elect by 16 percentage points, and that was the end of that woman who run against him. But I thought it would be the best way for me to get to know the whole state would be to run for the Senate. And so I did, and he didn't beat me by nearly what he expected to do, and it kept me alive. It was such a surprise to everybody that it kept me alive, and I started a PAC to help local candidates do research on issues and help them raise money, and then ran for governor.
So at that point you were a viable candidate, you ran for governor, you won the primary, and then you won the governorship.
Right.
And so tell me a little bit about how that felt to be the first female governor, and what were some of the things that people were saying about you, about being a female? Was that challenging?
I mean, I never thought of it that I was who I was. If I was going to get elected, I was going to be a female governor. That just sort of went with the territory. The most important thing actually about that race, I was the first person to beat an incumbent governor in a general election since the Constitution had been rewritten in 1947. That was the political win.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, that was the thing that was important. And then the rest of it, you couldn't pay attention to it. If you pay attention to that kind of thing, you get all twisted up. You just have to say, that's your problem, not mine. If you're worried about my being a female, I've got a job to do, this is what I'm going to do. And you just do it.
And there was an article by Vogue where they said the New Jersey's first female governor is still called the Broad Down the Hall by members of her own party. And it says she's not worried about a thing.
No. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? I wasn't going to go through a sex change operation, so they just had to deal. And the other thing that threw them off is I appointed a lot of of women to positions of prominence that they'd never held before. And they weren't crazy about my first chief of staff, who was a woman. They didn't want to have to go through a woman to get to the governor. First Attorney General, first head of the Supreme Court, and then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was a woman I appointed. And those were all firsts, as well as a bunch of other positions of decision making. Women and minorities got high positions.
Yeah.